Hello, thank you. I'm speaking in English so you can take... thank you for all your fantastic ideas and the ideas of the madman. I agree with most of them, and
but
I agree. No, I agree. No, there's no but. I just want to ask you, because your ideas about the universalism. I'm just wanting to know if you agree with something I've deduced from that, because you're also a lover of cinema. Thinking of a future politics, what kind of plan can we use to drive us, what kind of purpose can there be for this future ideology, universal ideology? And my idea is that it could be Star Trek.
It could be, sorry?
Star Trek.
Yeah, Star Trek.
Yeah, the Star Trek. And the first thing about Star Trek is how do we get to the Star Trek civilization? And I think the first thing you have to do is abolish money. So you have to go beyond the pragmatism that we have today of that money is important. And then we can use our robots and everything, and we don't have to work, as you mentioned before.
It's a wonderful question, which means that it's a difficult question. About universality, I must clarify one possible misunderstanding. I was not advocating universality in the sense of raising to a higher level, abstracting from our particular condition. Look, I don't like Salman Rushdie too much. He went way too much into liberalism for me. But once he did give, and even not here but in Bilbao, so for the time being still part of Spain. No. Yeah. He gave a wonderful answer to the question. Somebody accused him of not being faithful to his Indian roots, to, being too much now part of the liberal London, United Kingdom tradition. And then he said something wonderful. There I do admire him. He said that, no, it's not true. Two great Indian writers were absolutely crucial influence on him. Which two? Jane Austen and Charles Dickens. And he explained this wonderfully. He said, Charles Dickens, Oliver Twist, all those poor kids wandering, that's suburbs of Bombay today. That's the best image. And he said, these upper middle class families fighting who will marry whom, this is Jane Austen and so on. That's for me the true universality. Let's take Shakespeare, for example. True universality is not you abstract from concrete conditions. True universality is how a work of art which is very specific, clearly rooted in certain historical situation, can be reborn in another context where it works in a wonderful way. And this is, I think, for example, the wonder of Shakespeare for me, how you can get then a romantic, a modern, whatever, all Hamlets you can get, all others you can get. So again, this is for me universality. The miracle is that to be a universal writer, you don't have to think about, my God, this is too much rooted in my context, how I will make it too more universal. If you do this, it will be absolutely provincial, you can be sure, Just, you must be absolutely particular in your world, but in a way which from within finds echo in other words, and so on, and so on. That would be just the point about universality. What you said about all this, I must say, I confess my sin, nobody is perfect. Don't kill me for this. I was never able to really integrate to watch serially Star Trek. So you can, but I must tell you something else that, and this is not Star Trek. I'm talking about another thing. Some people think that all these catastrophic science movies, you know, all this variation of there is some either civil war, atomic explosion, whatever, and the old civilization is wiped out, and out of its ruins a new civilization will emerge. I don't think there is anything progressive in it. I think it's precisely a radical capitalist dream to begin from the 0 point, because then what emerges is exactly the same society as the old one, just purified of its sins or whatever. There is even another thing, and I want to provoke you here, another example of jouissance, much more problematic. I now watch, okay, the first season is over. Did you watch that famous Margaret Atwood novel? It was a movie now, Handmaid's Tale. Okay, let me provoke you with something. I enjoy it, but all of a sudden I caught myself enjoying it too much. And I asked myself, okay, all liberals who enjoy it have an official justification for it. Yeah, it's a warning. It shows dark potential of Christian conservative. But frankly, when I watch it, I'm absolutely fascinated how this world functions, and I like all the details, how, you know, women, women not allowed to read, so how they communicate this, that, and basically it's a strange fascination, and I don't think it's critical. I think that this is often the problem with movies who like to portray evil, but do it in a suspiciously fascinated way. For example, do you remember that Oliver Stone movie which was famous 20 years ago? Then he did Wall Street. The bad guy, Michael Douglas, you know, great all those legendary statements which become part of the common wisdom from the film, like, if you need a friend, buy yourself a dog, greed is good, whatever. They are pronounced by the bad guy. Officially, you're supposed to see him, Michael Douglas, as horror, but he's absolutely the only fascinating person. And there something I find has to be done. I think there is something absolutely wrong in this secret fascination, with evil. I find, okay, I will not go into it, but what I'm saying is that even when Hollywood appears at its relatively progressive and so on, it's usually very suspicious. That's why I don't like what I ironically call Hollywood Marxism, you know, all those movies about the end of the world or whatever. But there is something wrong in the very fascination with this evil world and so on. So one way to counteract it would have been, I wonder, if I can repair a little bit of shocking cultural lack. But don't worry, that's how I treat my son, you know. I told him, if you don't know who wrote Oedipus or Divina Commedia, well, it's okay. But if you don't know the difference between first and second version of Hitchcock's The Man Who Knew Too Much, you are out, you know. So at the same level, with science fiction and all these mythic worlds, you know what would really interest me to do? Don't now denounce me as a Stalinist, but for example, it's my old temptation, I warn you, to rewrote, or okay, I don't have billions to reshoot it, Star Wars presenting Palpatine and Darth Vader as good, progressive, egalitarian centralist fighting reactionary feudalist, all those Jedi bullshit particulars, to tell totally the opposite story from the other's point. What do they stand for? All that, republic, blah, blah. What strange of republic is republic when you have Princess Leia, knights, kings, and so on? No, Palpatine, the Emperor, and Darth Vader, they are, my God, progressive Bonapartist revolutionaries trying to get rid of the old world, you know. That's how this is my old obsession, just to turn it around, you know. In this sense, for example, sorry? You know what I'm afraid of? Let me answer you with one of my, I'm sorry if you know it, one of my favorite Stalinist jokes. It's a joke from Soviet Union in mid-30s, precisely this. They have a debate, that's the joke. They have a debate in 35 in Politburo, will there be money in communism or not? Then you have right-wingers, Bukharin pupils, who claim, of course, it has to be money. It's natural to have money. You cannot exchange commodities. No? Then the left-wingers, some followers still there of Trotsky, said, no, money is alienation. In communism, no money. Then Comrade Stalin intervenes and says, you are both wrong. Here we have right-wing deviation and left-wing deviation. The truth is, as they say in Stalinism, dialectical synthesis of the opposites. In communism, there will be money and there will not be money. Okay, then they ask him, but Comrade Stalin, how do you mean this? And you can guess what Stalin says. Very simply, some people will have money, other people will not have money. No, but quite seriously now. I am not, people, I agree with you. People who think we cannot get beyond money and so on are wrong. If something is happening, read authors who are way too simple, like Paul Mason, Jeremiah Rifkin, but they see some tendency, which is that exactly with what they called Internet of Things and this zero reproduction, when you can reproduce a phenomenon without additional costs, that money no longer functions, because look, with this glass of water, money and competition works, because if I drink it, you will not drink it, and vice versa. But knowledge is not money. Knowledge, if you know it, I don't lose any of my knowledge. Maybe you will say something and you will have even more knowledge, and so on. So I effectively think that now what is happening with this digitalization and so on, paradoxically, is a way where money no longer can play its role, which is why, as we see, intellectual property is, I think, one of the unsolvable problems for capitalism. They will not be able to commodify so-called intellectual property. The problem that I see is another one that I already hinted at. Whatever we say about money, and Marx was well aware of it, it has one, I wouldn't say good feature, but that we no longer have direct relations of domination. We don't need them because you can dominate me through money and so on. But that's why we have at least formal freedom and so on. The danger is that if you abolish money or limit its role in the wrong way, direct personal relations of domination will violently return. Didn't this happen, for example, in Soviet Union? There was money, but de facto, money was limited. For example, you had a certain salary, but this didn't really matter under Stalinism. What matters is, for example, if you were a top scientist, you get special allowances where you go for a holiday, or it was the whole parallel distribution of wealth done outside market in a different way. That's what I see as a problem, that it's how to abolish money without returning to some form of direct relations of domination. That's, sorry, let's go, okay.
There are more questions, maybe.
Yeah.
Hello, Slavoj. I'm here.
Ah, sorry, yeah.
I'm going to make the question.
I see you are on the center left, no? From radical left, sorry, to no, radical right, whatever, sorry. Please, yes.
Okay, I'm going to make the question in Spanish if you don't care, because Okay. Bueno, al principio de la charla de este día después, de el V de Vendetta parte 2, se me viene a la cabeza una batalla que ha habido aquí en España con Podemos. Hace un tiempo, hace unos meses, se disputó una batalla en la que había básicamente un bando que defendía a grandes rasgos una apuesta por la institución, una apuesta porque el cambio solo se consolidaría si se institucionalizaba, bla, bla, bla. Y otro bando que quizá era más apegado a la manifestación, a la ebullición social, ¿no? Y bueno, creo que se llegó como a un equilibrio, a una especie de armonía entre estas dos partes. Una que te permitía consolidar cambios, pero por otro lado te obligaba a estar en permanente contacto con la sociedad y no burocratizarte del todo. En tu opinión, no sé si alegas por una burocracia absoluta en la que ni siquiera haya una parte apegada a las manifestaciones, a los movimientos sociales, etcétera, etcétera. Y en ese caso, ¿cómo podría no surgir de nuevo la queja que dio inicio a Podemos, que era quizá la apelación a unas élites que se habían separado demasiado del pueblo? ¿Cómo podría no volver a surgir otro Podemos debido a esta burocracia total nueva? Thank you.
No, I see the problem here, and maybe the answer will not satisfy you, but let me first begin with an observation. You know, maybe I miss something, so I want to be very careful here. On the one hand, I see this idea of if you simply accept the power game, you become just another political party, ossified, and so on and so on. But what I'm no less afraid is that if you say, let's stay outside in our local communities and so on, that it's, for me, a too easy solution. You leave the power to itself. If you don't have a concrete vision of what to do in the long term with state power. And that's what, maybe you can help me, I'm very sincere here, with all my absolute sympathies for Podemos and so on. That's where I don't see, okay, but maybe even I'm too violent here to ask this question. What I don't see is maybe too violent, but what does Podemos want? Does it want power or not? If it doesn't want power, then what does it want? Does it want to be just some kind of a critical corrective to power? Okay, let me put it in another way. Let's say that through some miracle, whatever, the last elections, Podemos won. And through some other small leftist groups, it takes power. What would it done then? Would it say, no, sorry guys, we don't want to become part of institutional power, we just step down, or what? If they were to stay in power, how would they have done it? But my solution here is not that we have clearly to take sides here. I think just be ruthless. We want everything. Let's keep social movements and let's grab power wherever we can. I think we should avoid this dilemma as if, you know, we have to choose clearly. For example, I will not name them, but I think one of the most tragic things is, I will not name them, but some very well-known leftists today, big names, when you speak with them privately, they give you a very sad vision. They claim that simply the fact that even if we have a crisis now, there is no revolutionary potential and so on, means that we cannot change anything in democratic way. So the only thing is to sit down, getting ready, and be prepared for some big catastrophe, war, ecological catastrophe, which will give us a chance to grab power, to take over. And some of them, I will not name them, even went a step further and whispered into my ear, but maybe we should organize this incident. Like, we should maybe risk hundreds of thousands of lives to trigger a mega, I don't know, explode a nuclear reactor or whatever to trigger it. So my position here is, you know what, don't get caught in these abstract dilemmas. I would say, of course, the situation is contradictory, but that's politics. Try everything. On the one hand, if you can keep alive these social-based civil society networks, wonderful. But why not nonetheless grab power wherever you can? It's possible to combine them. I will give you an example. Good friend of mine, and also, that's why he's good friends of mine. I'm a monster. I only have good friends who are theorists. Alvaro Garcia Linera, the vice president of Bolivia. He plays wonderfully this game. The Evo Morales regime there, they try to keep alive their social contact, base, and so on, but they are at the same time aware of the critical limitations of this, you know. For example, Linera told me, don't trust too much all those native tribes who, they get corrupted, most of them, he told me, and so on. But at the same time, they use brutally where they can central state power. I think our ideal should not be either or. Why not all? Why not have strong state power and social movements? I think it can be done. Even good populists sometimes succeeded in doing it. So again, another thing I try to develop lately is that there are many, this is my hope. If you say a big revolution, it's a cheap position. It means basically nothing, you know. But isn't the art to, in each concrete society, in each situation, to ask something, that would have been for me today an ideal political act. To act, to choose a topic, a task, which appears as innocent as possible, but in reality, it can trigger a big process. This is, at this level, and I have no illusions about Obama, that's the example I often use, Obama healthcare. It's nothing revolutionary. He was able to say, wait a minute, most of Europe has it, Canada has it. But it was such a trauma for the United States that now the first thing Trump is doing is to repeal it, and so on and so on. So in one of my texts, I used this example of science fiction where, you know, you enter a room with many buttons, but then you press the wrong button and the whole room disintegrates, like it's the prohibited button. We should find this good, appropriate, particular demands. Like, again, in the United States, where they are obsessed with their own individualist notion of freedom and so on, universal healthcare was obviously way too provocative, was obviously a way too provocative idea. So again, we should do things like this. Find issues which are apparently modest. Nobody can accuse you of anything, but they trigger a process. These are the real changes, I claim. Not if you immediately opt for a big change, de facto it means nothing, because it means let's comfortably wait. So my defense of Podemos would have been that this dilemma debate that you presented, this is our predicament today. On the one hand, we cannot simply say we will enjoy our comfortable position of true civil society because this de facto means let's have the state the way it is, no? We don't do this, but also we must be aware of the limits of state power. And we have to find a way with this contradiction. Again, the main point for me would be to reject this as a choice. Why not have it both? You know, the best political motto for me is still, I think, the English have one proverb like this: coffee or tea, yes please. You know, like state power or civil society, yes please.
Siento ejercer de polimalo, pero me piden que solo haya una pregunta más. Se me ocurre, veo al menos dos manos ahora, si podéis ser breves, quizá podamos unir las dos, por ir una a cada lado y que se contesten. ¿No?
Okay.
Hacemos, sí, si os parece, porque 3 es un número dialécticamente interesante.
I know what I will do. I will give you some Zen Buddhist shit, you know, like my answer will be, listen to my silence, or clap with one hand, you know, like, sorry, please give me the answer, yeah. The question.
Hay muchas. Hacemos una cosa, hay muchas. Por favor, 3 seguidas, breves, y que las conteste en la medida que sea posible de manera unificada.
Okay, so you were talking about the problem about we can want both things, okay? Both the state and both the, like the social movements of whatever.
Yeah.
But there's one problem with bureaucracy and with the huge level of bureaucracy in which we live, since mainly after the Second World War or whatever, that is that the same bureaucratic state destroys a lot of the stuff that you need to be a leftist. Like, for example, this capacity to have a strong individual being. I think we feel overwhelmed by bureaucracy. And I feel that you see this conflict inside politics, not just inside the conflict between left and right, but also you see the conflict inside the same left. Because the people who want to rule are the main ones who want to destroy the movements. So what happened with that? What happens if when you can't have coffee and tea because coffee and tea are struggling with themselves?
Okay. No, but nonetheless, please, it would be, let's go a little bit longer because I would like to answer you directly. Okay, but very brutally, what would you have done here? What's your solution here? I think you have to strive for coffee and tea because what will you say? People who want to rule want to destroy us. So, okay, what's then your solution? I have a very naive solution that get the people who will rule us in such a way that they will not destroy us. It's a very naive position, but I think because then the only solution is let's not rule, which means another, maybe even worse people will rule. And that's what I want absolutely to avoid. This comfortable position, people rule there, while we are comfortably in a civil society, our hands have to get totally dirty with ruling. I'm not afraid of that. But when you said bureaucracy and so on, but listen, I don't think that bureaucracy cannot look at a country like Switzerland. I don't idealize. It's a proto-fascist country or whatever. But nonetheless, it did succeed, or some other countries like Norway and so on. As far as I can see, they did succeed in bringing together a certain level of civil society mobilization with very efficient bureaucracy. And even now comes my paradox. When there is the conflict between the two, I'm often even on the side of bureaucracy. Don't forget that because of this popular tradition of civil society, in Switzerland, women got the right to vote only in mid-60s or whatever. Sorry? 71 even, yes. So you see what I am afraid of. I'm afraid of, if you say, those who rule want to lead, want to destroy us. The problem, I'm not saying that we should use the state the way it is. We should transform it and so on. But I think the battle is not lost because with the complexity of today's situation, we need some type of, okay, maybe bureaucracy is not the right word. By bureaucracy, I simply mean a complex structure of administration which is not totally transparent to us local people. I find here many solutions, and maybe it will bring me a lot of trouble if I name them. One solution would be an inverted Stalinist one. That to have what Stalin was doing, but in not such a terrorist way. be aware when you have people who lead you that there are also other people who control these people, support factional struggles, a little bit of terror, not against the people, but against those who lead us. I think that this is a nice tradition of some progressive states where, okay, you lead, but usually you will lose your head for it. That would be, why not, one formula? Okay, let's go. Another one. You promised 3.
Hacemos eso. Por favor, preguntáis 2, me están pidiendo que acabemos ya. Sois breves y contestas de manera unificada. ¿Sí?
Yo voy a preguntar en
I spoke
español.
on behalf of the people. Who are you to tell me to be short? Yeah.
You told me I was the boss.
Sorry, so who is the next one?
Bueno, veo que ninguna mujer se atreve a preguntarte nada, así que voy a empezar. Bueno, en primer lugar, darte las gracias porque veo que has nombrado a las mujeres algunas veces, cosa que es muy raro en los filósofos hombres. En segundo lugar, preguntarte cuál es la solución para combatir el patriarcado y la violencia machista. Y luego, en tercer lugar, si conocías la existencia del Partido Feminista de España. Y ya con esto termino.
Yes. Yeah, sorry. Okay, yeah.
Hello. Yo te quería preguntar muy brevemente, porque se ha mencionado, estaba en la superficie, por decirlo de alguna forma, de la charla, de alguna forma, cuando hablabas del estalinismo, cuando hablabas de la burocracia, yo no puedo evitar recordar a la oposición de izquierdas que encabezó León Trotsky y todo el papel que jugaron, y sencillamente te quería preguntar cuál es tu opinión sobre la oposición de izquierdas soviética, León Trotsky and so on.
Okay, no, it's a nice question, but you know, recently I read a biography, Isaac Deutscher, maybe the best known, sympathetic of Trotsky. And you know what shocked me there? That was for me Trotsky's biggest failure. Of course, I sympathize with him, all that goes by itself, but precisely Trotsky simply, the crucial year in Soviet Union was for me 22-23. Why? Lenin got the first stroke, and it's a very tragic, almost Greek tragedy story. You know what then happened? You must know. Lenin, this was typical for Lenin's ethics. He and Nadezhda Krupskaya, his wife, wrote a letter to Politburo demanding poison. They said, I'm incapacitated, I cannot work politically, and for me, politics is only life I know, so please give us some poison that we kill ourselves. Stalin sabotaged it. You know why? Because he knew it. If at that point Lenin were to die, memoirs by Georgy Dimitrov, the boss of International, where he reports how Stalin once said at the meeting, narrow meeting of course, that Trotsky was undoubtedly more popular in mid-20s than he, Stalin. But he said, cadre, they supported me, that was crucial. Stalin, and this was the tragedy of Trotsky. He didn't have the sensibility for this. Like, from 23 at the sessions of Politburo, you know what Trotsky was doing to show his arrogance? I took this from Deutscher. He brought to the session of Politburo's French classic, Flaubert, Stendhal, in French, and read them there to show, like, oh, I'm with this, fuck you, you primitive. But you know, Trotsky was at that point like the example that I always use, that cat who is walking above the precipice and doesn't know it's already walking in empty air. This is what Trotsky was missing, you know, like, why wasn't he more attentive to how Stalin is de facto grabbing power? That was for me the true tragedy of Trotsky. How he totally lost, didn't have this sensitivity there. As for, woman, yes. I'm so sad we don't have more time for this. At least I'm here clear in the sense that I wrote maybe even too much about sexual difference and so on. But you know, from my American training in the sense that I have no training, that I'm often there. You know what the problem would have been? Like, some American radical feminists, or they wouldn't even call themselves feminists, they would say transgender, against heterosexual, they would have said, no, feminist party still implies the opposition feminine-masculine. We have to undermine this opposition itself, then you get transgenderism, the same toilets, and so on, and so on, and so on. So I think my position is here, first, that the most dangerous form of threat to radical, authentic feminism today is, on the one hand, that it's sometimes blind against a certain post-patriarchy which is emerging today, but which is, in a way, still, how should I put it, secretly anti-emancipatory, and so on and so on. Okay, I'll put it clearly in these terms, and I put it as provocatively and openly as I can. My problem with Judith Butler, with whom I have good personal relations and so on, no problem there, is this one. What is my basic reproach to her? It's that what she is describing as her model of how subjectivity is built, there are no in advance given sexual roles, through performative games of parody imitation, we all the time reconstruct ourselves, construct ourselves in our always fragile sexual identities, and so on and so on. What I suspect is that she is not describing a utopian goal, but simply the ideal figure of today's late capitalist society. I think that what idiots like Trump and all those moral majority conservatives advocate, it's of course ridiculous, but it's a lost battle. This type of performativity where we have no fixed identities and so on, I don't see it as a very progressive model. I think it fits perfectly, again, today's ideology, which is precisely the ideology of you have no fixed identity, discover potentials in yourself, reconstruct yourself all the time, and so on and so on. So the problem here for me is this one. On the one hand, of course, we all agree, in some sense Judith Butler is right. We should not appeal when we fight for feminism to some, I don't know, deeper feminine essence or whatever. But at the same time, where I don't agree with Judith Butler type of performative feminism, which at the end even undermines itself, she doesn't want even to be called as feminist, is that, another problem today, and Alain Badiou, I think, was right to draw attention to it, is that today a certain image of woman as a human face of power is emerging, which I think is an obscene betrayal of feminism, but it is one of the new ideological functions of women. Like Badiou makes in a book on youth, I don't know if it's translated into your language already, he makes this wonderful observation that in French system of oppressing the young delinquents, women play a crucial role. The judge, the social worker, psychologist, they're usually women, and all this ideology, you know, we don't want just to punish you, we want to re-educate you, and so on and so on. It's, I'll put it like this, another identity is offered here to women, to stand for power with the human face, and so on, which should also be rejected. But where I absolutely agree, apropos feminism, is that this, I think, for theoretical reasons, and this brought me a lot of trouble, in which I don't have time to go now, that sexual difference cannot be reduced to what they claim gender roles. Masculine and feminine is a stronger ontological opposition, not natural. It's still something specific to human symbolic universe, but it cannot be reduced just to this, like, oh, we have, like, in New York now it's legalized. In the state of New York, you have now recognized legally 32 sexual identities. And they like to point out how masculine and feminine are just two in the middle. You have butch, gay, lesbian, bisexual, trisexual, asexual, all that. No, I think that sexual difference names some antagonism which is stronger than this. Sexual difference is not just the result of these performative games and so on and so on. And my proof is this one. The way Judith Butler is sometimes read, she's much more intelligent, in this playful way. We construct our sexual identities and so on. My God, I met some of them. How can they write this? Did they meet any really suffering transgender people? Why? Because, let's say, biologically, they appear to be a woman, but subjectively, they experience themselves as men or something third and so on. And it's not for them a simple choice. I play a performative game, today I am a woman, tomorrow I'm a bisexual, and so on. For them, this psychological identity is so strong, they cannot escape it, that they are ready to suffer, to go through horrible, painful sex change operations, and so on. This is what you have to accept. Yes, our identity is not natural. But this doesn't mean that it's simply a question of social games playing. Tomorrow I'm a man, the day after I'm bisexual, then I am a woman. You know, true freedom is, in a way, to choose your destiny, to choose something from which you almost cannot escape. But just to give you another thing, now this is anecdotal. Why? Maybe this still means that I'm secretly anti-feminist, but why I don't have any problems with women, especially in pure theory. Look, one of my great references you pointed out is Hegelian. Sorry to tell you, but the 5 greatest books on Hegel in last 30 years were all written by women. The sister who died. Gillian Rose, Hegel Contra Sociology, Beatrice Longuenesse, Hegel and the Critique of Metaphysics, Catherine Malabou, The Future of Hegel. Then you have Rebecca Comey, Melancholy Morning, or what, an excellent book, and my Slovene colleague Alenka Zupancic, her new book. Isn't this a wonderful thing? It means something that it's not that women are good for this self-expressive bullshit, you know, how you feel something. No, women, if there is a philosopher who stands for pure conceptual thinking, it's Hegel. What does it mean that all great Hegelians are women today? It must mean something.
Es una fantástica pregunta para irnos. Gracias a los traductores por la exigente tarde. Gracias a todos vosotros por la paciencia, por la atención y por la pasión. Gracias de verdad, Zizek, por la generosidad, por la tensión y por la pasión que comunicas también con todo esto. Haces las cosas muy fáciles. Muchísimas gracias.
Sorry. Just one thing. I suspect my thanks to translators also, because when I was hearing the translations, sometimes I had the impression that he's translating faster than the question. So maybe I live in Truman world where it was all staged, but he was reading too fast, you know. No, he was really excellent. I understand if translators hate me. If in the evening they will buy a voodoo doll of me and will be putting needles into it. But I'm grateful to them. Thank you.
Do you want me to